Hello my fellow weirdlings, it's Margot, and today I'm going to talk about the time MTV's cartoon characters, Beavis and Butt-Head, were blamed for the death of a child. If you're ready for some early 1990s ancient history, keep watching. Beavis and Butt-Head premiered on MTV in 1993 as creator Mike Judge's first animated series. Though Judge was largely unknown at the time, Beavis and Butt-Head would quickly become a favorite among Generation Xers, and he'd go on to give us the long-running and beloved classic King of the Hill. But not everybody loved Beavis and Butt-Head right away. Many critics loathed pretty much everything about the series and the two main characters. The show featured two satirically ignorant teenagers who spent all of their time commenting on rock videos, ogling girls, destroying things, and occasionally playing with fire. The series was basically a mockery of how the boomers perceived Generation Xers at the time. But to be fair, I, as a preteen, knew plenty of idiots that actually did fit the stereotype. Many critics and parents completely missed the point and saw the series as a glorification of stupidity and reckless behavior. But despite the critical reception, Beavis and Butt-Head actually became MTV's highest-rated program. It was especially popular among kids and teens. Though the show generated several popular catchphrases, such as "I am the Great Cornholio" and "I need teepee for my bunghole," Beavis's frequent exclamation of "fire, fire," and obvious obsession with pyromania would become particularly problematic. The generational divide really came to a head when tragedy struck, and the show was blamed for the death of a toddler. On October 6, 1993, at a trailer park in Moraine, Ohio, 5-year-old Austin Messner was rescued from a burning mobile home, while his 2-year-old sister Jessica tragically died in the fire. News reports at the time ran with the story that was later told to them by the children's mother, Darcy Burke. The version the public heard was that little Austin had started the fire with a lighter after becoming obsessed with watching Beavis and Butt-Head. According to his mother, Darcy, Austin had particularly been enthralled by an episode where Beavis and Butt-Head portrayed burning things as fun. The local fire chief, Harold Sigler, was quoted as saying to the media, "The mother is attributing the fact that he was fascinated with fire to the Beavis and Butt-Head segment where they are setting things on fire." He went on to say, "When you take a child in the formative years and you get these cartoon characters saying it's fun to play with fire, this is going to stick in that kid's mind, and it's going to be with him for a lifetime." He said that Austin Messner watched one show that had the cartoon characters saying fire is fun, and from that point on he'd been playing with fire. According to Austin's mother, prior to the tragic incident with the lighters, she'd caught him playing with matches. She claimed she'd been concerned enough that she'd taken Austin's bedroom door off the hinges so she could watch him more closely. Fire Chief Sigler urged MTV to eliminate shows that might encourage playing with fire, and said he'd like to see the violence on the show reduced as well. At the time, Carol Robinson, a spokesperson for MTV, gave a public response, stating that the TV station would re-examine issues regarding Beavis and Butt-Head. She said, "We're not aware of all the facts, but obviously this event was a terrible tragedy. Responsibly programming MTV has always been and will continue to be our top priority." News reports from that time mentioned that there had been other incidents of children playing with fire as a result of watching Beavis and Butt-Head. But the only thing I could find was a mention by the Associated Press in 1993 of an incident in western Ohio on August 23, 1993, where a fire chief blamed the cartoon for a fire that was started by 3 young girls. The article stated, "The fire chief said one Beavis and Butt-Head episode featured a character setting fire to the other's hair by using a match to ignite spray from an aerosol can. He said the children used the technique to set clothing on fire in a bedroom, causing some damage to the house." He's quoted as saying, "The children admitted they saw it on TV and thought they could do it too." In the wake of little Jessica Messner's death, MTV did make changes to the Beavis and Butt-Head series. They removed all references to fire from future episodes, and even went so far as to scrub them from all previous episodes as well. 4 episodes were removed completely from the rerun schedule. Even the original master tapes were permanently altered. To my knowledge, the only copies of the censored episodes in their original state that exist today are from home video recordings of the original broadcasts. In an interview on the Mike Judge Collection DVD set, Judge said he's not sure if some of the earlier episodes still exist in their original form at all. MTV also moved the show to a later time slot. Some articles state that it was moved from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Others say it was moved from 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. I was only 12 when this happened, but I don't recall new episodes of Beavis and Butt-Head ever airing as early as 7 p.m. Maybe a more avid viewer could let me know if I'm mistaken. I do remember that the show's creators began sort of teasing the word fire in future episodes. For example, when working at a fast food restaurant, Beavis would say fryer, fryer, or he'd start the phrase liar, liar, pants on, and not finish it. Beavis does finally say the word fire again in the 1996 movie Beavis and Butt-Head Do America. Series creator Mike Judge has said, "The way I remember it was we had to remove the word fire entirely because Beavis had a thing that he would just go fire, fire. I thought we were going to stop going forward. I didn't know we were going to take the word out of every single episode. That was a bigger bummer. I understood it, but it was also sort of giving in." In a 2011 interview, when asked about Beavis and Butt-Head's negative influence on children, Judge said, "First of all, I don't agree with any of that kind of criticism, and I don't take any responsibility for any of it at all. The fire was obviously a very horrible, sad tragedy, but it had nothing to do with Beavis and Butt-Head." Now, before you think Judge was a complete asshole for repeatedly teasing the word fire and refusing to take any responsibility after allegedly causing such a tragedy, you should know that the story the media was running with wasn't entirely accurate. Mike Judge was a guest on the Basic podcast on June 22nd of this year, where he talked a bit about the fire controversy. He said, "It's awful, first of all. My daughter was around the same age as the girl that got killed. My understanding, and you can look this up, it was in a trailer park and this woman had left to go on a date, leaving a 5-year-old and I think 1.5-year-old alone. Child abandonment, basically. Kid was playing with a lighter she'd left out and he started a fire that burned the place down. The younger one died. I guess the police were questioning her, and she said he'd been watching Beavis and Butt-Head and that was the headline they were looking for. Beavis and Butt-Head caused the death of a kid, and it was the headline of every major network news thing. It was really awful." After those headlines ran nationwide, neighbors said 5-year-old Austin couldn't have been watching Beavis and Butt-Head, at least not at home. Mike Judge said, "Turned out they did not get cable at this trailer park. That little tiny correction came out later. He likely had never seen it. She was just trying to say something to deflect." While that may still leave some doubt that Austin hadn't seen the show, in 2008, Austin Messner, who was 20 years old at the time, came forward to say, "I literally never saw the cartoon. How could I? It was 1993. My mom was a drug addict. We couldn't afford cable." Later, in 2019, Austin wanted to make sure the public and Beavis and Butt-Head's creators knew the truth, and again reiterated that he'd never seen the show. He added that he never intends to, due to the tragic loss of his sister. So I guess Beavis and Butt-Head should never have been dragged into this story in the first place. The bad press ultimately didn't hinder Beavis and Butt-Head's popularity among younger viewers, or their rise to the status of cultural icons. After the success of the original MTV series, the characters continued on, with the 1996 feature film Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, a 2011 MTV reboot, and this year's blockbuster Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe, which has been receiving rave reviews. In fact, they even have a new revival series on Paramount+. I guess it makes sense this current Beavis and Butt-Head revival would be met with critical acclaim, considering the kids who grew up on the series are now many of today's movie reviewers. That's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this story and will come back for more. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and bring your friends, family, COVID pod, cult members, invisible friends, or enemies. And let me know in the comments if you're a Beavis and Butt-Head fan. Thanks so much for watching.